Hello class, in this exercise we are going to design the box. That's our project 4 in ENGT131, and all what you are given is the design constraints, and the design constraint is that the box needs to be no larger than 3.5 by 3 inch in a footprint. That means need to fit within the rectangle of that size. It can be smaller, but it cannot have larger footprint. And the height of the lid cannot be higher than ½ inch, and the height of the box itself, of the bottom part, cannot be more than 1 3/4 inches. We have conditions that the box top needs to be really nicely fit, so it will be a sliding fit with about 0.1 clearance in total, or about 0.05 clearance per side. So the design feature can be whatever you want in shape, and as we have a coming Halloween, I'm going to do a Halloween box. And for example, by looking at the Google images, I found this Shutterstock picture with a variety of the Halloween sticker, and I'm going to convert one of those stickers to the jewelry box. And the one that I decided to do is to have a box which at the top of it, on the lid, will have kind of a spiderweb motif. So how I'm going to implement this spiderweb at the top of the box? I'm going to make it as a sweep command. Remember the sweep that we did? And this will be actually a circular sweep which will sit at the top of the box. So I will trace out entire spiderweb, and I will just sweep the circle around it. So, and that will create very nice motif. Another way to do this will be to do the cut, and to do actually not cut, but to do the warp at the top, and it will warp the spider web at the top. So we save this image from the Google. We are going to start now new SolidWorks part, and I'm going to start by making a sketch. I will use a top plane so that it is regularly oriented, of the size of the box. The rectangle. Going to put that this is for construction line only, because obviously, and we know that our maximum allowed space is at 3.5 by 3 inches. So whatever my motif is, it need to fit in. Now, the next thing that I'm going to do, I'm going to insert sketch tool. I'm going to insert the tool, sketch tool. I'm going to insert a sketch picture, and I will go to my picture that I just saved from a Google spiderweb image, and I'm going to move it until my spider web is here, and then I'm going to scale it in a way that my spider web fit within the boundaries of the box. And as you can see, it will be a fairly smaller box. And let's see if I stretch it a little bit. If I unlock aspect ratio, I can deform this to occupy more space of the box. And I'm going to change transparency. As a full image transparency, I will set it at like 70 to 80%. I'll click OK for a sketch picture. Now I know what will be the outline. Well, I will actually need to expand it a little bit. I will make it, maybe I don't need to have this big like extension, so that I have a more space of the box. Close this sketch. If I open a sketch and if I edit sketch picture. You can stretch it more to have it a more appropriate move it a little bit. To maximize the occupancy of the space. Okay, that will be about appropriate. Now, what I'm going to do, I'm first going to create a spline which will define the outline shape of this box by editing my first sketch. I'm going to create a spline which is going to define the outer shape of my box. To make it to be a shorter actually here. I don't want to go outside of the limits. I can scale it after actually, put it to here, then I can continue spline. Until we are and then we are going to flatten this spline to make it to be better. So, but let's say that this is some kind of the shape which loosely approximate our original shape. We can move it until it looks a little bit more continuous. We can play with the spline as much as we want. The points on the spline until it kind of resembles the shape that we want. And let's say that I'm satisfied with the shape. So what I'm going to do next, I will use this shape as an extrusion, and I will extrude for a 1 3/4 of the inches. Extrude boss. Sketch contour 1. And I want it to be for a 1.75 inches extruded up. So here is like my outline of this little box that I'm going to use. Now, what I'm going to do next here, I'm going to start actually designing the structure of the box. And if I look inside, what is the depth of my box that I have here? The lip height is a 1/4, so, and then the bottom height is the 1/4. And the thickness, wall thickness is a 3/8. So if I do a multiple shell of the 3/8 of the 1/4 and the 3/8, we can actually create that inner surface, and then I can offset outside to create a lip. And the lip is a 1/8 of the inch minus 0.05 going to be here. So Let me try first to use the shell. Use the shell. The first shell that I'm going to use the 1/4 of the inch. 1/4 of the inch for a thickness, because that will be the bottom. No, pardon, the bottom will be 1/4 of the inch, and 3/8 is the wall thickness. So I will use the 3/8 first. I will check the 3/8. 3 divided by 8. I'm going to check the top surface. And I'm going to check the multi-thickness shell. For the bottom will be a 1/4. And let's see if it will work. It may not work because of these appendages. Yeah, so the thickness of the minimum radius of the card. The shell may succeed, but let's see what it will do. Well, actually it does. And I'm satisfied with this. So with the one command, actually I created a shell which have a thickness at the bottom of a 1/4 inch and thickness of the 3/8 on the side. So if I go back here and let's check that it is correct. If I go on the view and if I click on a sectional view, let's see how it looks like. Does this look like a 1/4? How can we know? We can measure. If I measure the distance between these two, what is the distance? 1/4. And then what should be this distance from here to here? What is the 3/8 of the inch? Well, it was not on the line here. Let's see. The distance, the normal distance, actually, let's see, between here and here, I should get the normal distance, should be a 3/8. .38, yeah, pardon, yeah, the 3/8 of the inch should be what, 0.75. Let's see if we change this section view. If I change this, okay, we can also check it this way. If I make a line, and if I make this line to be an orthoperpendicular, and also make it to be perpendicular to the other, okay, the line will not change the dimension. Let's check the distance. What is the 3/8? 3 divided by 8? 0.375. And that's exactly what it is. So we have a 3/8 and we have a distance of a 1/4 down there. So, and also if we go to an annotation and we show feature dimension, of features dimension. This should also show us the bottom one. Sometimes it doesn't really work for shell. But if we measure the distance with an evaluate, 0.25. So this is dimensionally correct. Now, what will be the next step that we are going to do here? We will need to make a lip. And let's see how this is done. So essentially, the lip thickness is a 1/8 of the inch minus 0.005. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to start a sketch here. And I'm going to offset entities of the inner. And that will be the offset for the 1/8 minus 0.05. And it's not the right offset, so I want an offset 1/8 0.125 minus 0.05, which is 0.075. And I will take the inner. I will change the reverse direction. And what I will find out, that the thickness of that, to choose the whole chain, that the thickness is not enough. Let's see if we go with the 1/8 and if we offset on the whole, that will actually work better. Okay, so what else we need to do? We need to convert entities on this border. And for that I can just click at the bottom and I can click on convert entities. Now if I close this sketch, I can feature extrude both of the sketch. I can choose the sketch contour to be the intermediate contour. And I want it to be a 1/8 inch height. And if I look back into my assignment, let's check. Oh, no, the lip height is what? 1/4 of the inch. So if it is a 1/4 of the inch, what I will do, I will just go back, right click on extrude. And that's some computer problem here now that we are experiencing. Right click on extrude, and I will take that this is a 0.25. And we have some computer memory issue here, which I'm going to fix now by saving. Save as box bottom. And if I go back to my passport, it's at the ENGT131 fall 17 box. I'm going to close this, open it again. Don't know why my box is not showing. There it is. Okay. So I created the bottom of the box. Now I'm going to make the top of the box. And how I'm going to make a top of the box? I can make the part in the content of the assembly. What means in the content of the assembly? I can use this bottom to start and to like copy the features and to build the part from there. So let's do it. So to do the top of the box, I'm going to file, make assembly from part. Box bottom is mine. Click OK. So I brought it into the assembly content. Now, look at this, very important. I'm going to click on this face, on the face of the where my next part will start. And I'm going to click on insert. And this will be, this time I'm going to insert component. And I'm going to click on a new part. Not existing part, but a new part. And again, click at that surface. Sketch has been opened. I'm going to look directly to my surface. And I'm going to copy. I'm going to convert this into the convert entities. And I'm going to offset inner one for 0.1 inch. Inner contour, I'm going to offset outside for a 0.1 inch because that will be my spacing for a tolerance. So that will be my slight fit. I'm going to offset this one for 0.1 inch out. Actually for I will put 0.06 inch outside so that it is a total of 0.1 to 0.1. Now I'm going also to choose the inner edge. I'm going to convert the inner edges. Going to choose all of the inner edges and convert them to be the edges for what? For the, this need to be for a construction only. Or I can just be careful what I choose for extrude. Now in the next step, what I'm going to do, I'm going to extrude this region up. For how much? For the thickness of my lid. And the thickness of my lid, okay, so the sealing depth for the clearance fit is a 5/16. And then I have a total really for the 3/4 minus 1/4 is a 1/2. So it can be total of a 1/2. So first I'm going to bring it up for a 1/16. Going to features, extrude boss. I will click on my region, but however region that I will choose will be this region here. And I'm going to extrude it for, what did we say here? For the 5/16. Okay. Now, what is the minimum thickness of the sealing? The minimum thickness of the sealing is going to be, and as you can see now, we have that spacing in here, so that will allow the box lip to slide finally. Now, the sealing, minimum sealing of the thickness, it does not say, but we have the, it's a up to a 1/4 of the inch. However, let's say that we will put the minimum thickness of the sealing to be the thickness of the 3/8 of the inch. So I'm going to extrude the top of it again. So sketch, place the sketch here, and extrude it for another 3/8 of the inch. Let's convert those entities. Okay, everything is converted. And again, if I extrude this to a 1/4 of the inch, what is the, we had a lid of 5/16, 1/4 minus 5/16. 1/4 minus 5/16. No, that's the 560 pattern. 0.25. Just okay, 4 1/4 I extruded it. Okay, so that's the top of my box. And now all what I have to do is to make the engravement of the spider web. But the construction of my box is over. And finally, we will just do the fillets, and we will do this next class.